Hi Yocheved, welcome to Zero to Pro. I know you're Rivka's sister, so welcome on board. Welcome everyone on board anyway, but like a double welcome on board. Excellent. Just flicking through these pictures, you're going to do amazing. B'ezrat Hashem, you are going to do amazingly. Okay, let's just read what you wrote. Hi, first 4 photos, ones I've taken previously on my iPhone, indicative of my style. Hope it's okay to send. The last one's my photo shoot last week. Thanks. Okay, that's great. So if you feel that you have a style already, that's amazing. 1 second. Then we got this as well. Just wanted to add photos I uploaded. The first 4 that were from previously that I know one is out of focus, not sharp, and another needs some cropping out of it. Just wanted to give an idea of the style that speaks to me, if that makes any sense. Okay, fine. Also not quite sure what perspective means. Could I trouble you to clarify? Okay, that's fine as well. I'm really enjoying watching past homework critiques. I tell if I can watch them all day. Okay, go for it. Anyway, so what perspective means? So look, this is perspective. What did you write? Perspective means. Okay, so perspective is basically the concept of converging lines. Okay, that converge to a vanishing point. And I said the problem is the vanishing point is off the frame. So this one's also. No, this one we can do. 1 second. So here we can follow this line here, and then we can follow this line here, and they meet like over here. That means, now let me just change to a straight line. Makes it easy. If I start here and now just run along these books, I will end up, if I just get these, and then I'll follow this line as well. I'm not even looking. It all goes to the same point. Okay. Following those lines again. Yeah, it all goes to the same point. So this vanishing point creates a perspective which gives depth. It's really based on the concept of the triangle being a point. It's pointing you into the picture. So your eyes, if I point that way, yeah, you immediately look over that way. Okay, wherever we point to, that's where your eyes go. So this triangle, so to speak, is a giant arrow pointing in a direction, not up, because that's by definition a triangle means that it actually looks like a flattened square. It's interesting, or flat, whatever it means, but it looks like, it means that you're looking into the picture. So that's the concept of perspective. Okay, let's jump in. Okay, that is a triangle. Nice one. Pat on the back. Do me a favour, try this. This is kind of obvious, but what I want you to do, which is going to be less obvious, I know we didn't say this in the actual homework, in the video about the homework, but I say this to everybody: try and create a triangle. Okay, I do appreciate that you took some time out to do this with this shape, the shape here, echoing the shape over here. That's fine. But what I really want you to try and do is create a triangle that doesn't really exist. It's only when you move yourself into a certain place that this triangle appears. Okay, which means you could be creating a still life with a vacuum cleaner in the background and an egg in the foreground, but somehow it will look, when you get close to the egg, very, very close to the egg gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and if the vacuum cleaner in the background is far enough away, it will be smaller and smaller and smaller, so you can end up with a triangle created that would only exist from one vantage point, you understand? So it doesn't like look like a triangle, because like, I didn't really mean it like this, and that like anyone could just take a bunch of stuff and like make a triangle out of them. So that was the idea, is trying to get to a perspective, a certain vantage point where the lines converge in such a way that creates a triangle. Okay, once you can see that, it's amazing how the whole world opens up in regards to so many more shapes and stuff. Okay, texture, excellent. These are 2 very different textures as well. This is a soft texture, even though red is very intense and dynamic. The actual texture is very soft. It's also horizontal lines. I love showing people this. Look at this. Look at the difference between this this image here with the horizontal. Oh no, it's better if I show you like this, because you'll see in a second. We have horizontal lines, and if we flip it, we end up with vertical lines. Look how much more energized that image is, and how much more relaxed that image is. Okay, horizontal lines create a kind of passive, more relaxed feel, and vertical lines create a much more dynamic feel. And then you have diagonal lines that are much more complicated depending on where on the canvas they are, if they hit the edge of the frame and stuff like that. But just simply, we have the two basic lines, which is horizontal and vertical. Vertical lines are more dynamic, as you see here, and horizontal lines are more passive, as you see here. Okay, good. Same idea. This is great. It's a much harder texture, much more dynamic texture. We've also got lots of gradations in the dynamic range. We've got strong blacks and strong whites. We have hard lines. It's a hard texture. Excellent. It's great texture. Okay, pattern. Yeah, so this is more. This is also good for the perspective picture. In fact, I've gotten much worse pictures on perspective. Your pictures on perspective were excellent, but people have taken pictures like this for me. What camera do you have? You have a Nikon D3400. Okay, so you have the pattern. Yeah, I would move around. I think this does more justice to the pattern. But again, the rules of a pattern are a recurring geometric structure, a recurring geometric sequence. If we crop it a little bit closer, this gets a little bit boring over here. That adds quite a lot of intensity. And if we give it a panoramic crop, then it really takes it to a different level, like energy-wise. And even in Picasso, you can put up the highlights and you can put up the shadows and just add it, give it that much more. You could take it into Lightroom and bang out the texture big time, but that's enough now. Okay, good. Recurring geometric sequence. That's a pattern. Patterns and textures merge at one point, so be aware of that. Depth perspective, we spoke about that already. These both beautifully illustrate the point. Nice one. Okay. Good. What are you shooting on? You're shooting on program. Okay. Great. So the stats right now, I can see you don't know what these are about. That's great. That's why you are here. And within about 4 or 5 weeks, you will be, Bezrat Hashem, super clear on what all those numbers mean. Okay. This is great. Looks like Zevi. Maybe it was Zevi. This is your picture for balance. Okay. It needs a teeny little bit more, he needs to be a little, this is a teeny drop too much, a teeny drop. There we go, I think that's more balanced. Okay, there's lots of us. You're going to look back at these pictures and you're going to learn the rules, and there's too many rules right now, but too many rules to go through. There's so much to learn. Baruch Hashem, again, that's why you're here. But one of the first things we need to do is bring him away from the background. Okay, you're going to be excellent. You're going to take amazing pictures, Baruch Hashem. But there's a lot to learn. He needs to come way away from the background. That's going to add a huge amount to the picture. But it's actually a very lovely picture. It really is. It's a nice moment. It's balanced beautifully, and that was the point of the picture as well. For the location, for how his proximity, the background, he pops out beautifully. His head doesn't pop out that well, but again, that would fix a lot of things. His pose is very soft, very natural, beautiful. A lot of movement in the image, coming like this. Oh, sorry, let me change my weapon. There's a movement this way, you come back. There's also the circle around here. That all comes together beautiful. Excellent, good shot. Okay, so now here is your photo shoot. Okay, so they're taken with an iPhone. So these kind of pictures, 1 second. So there's just somebody once asked me, like, how do you explain to somebody when that you can take the same kind of pictures with an iPhone as you can with an SLR. Why would you get an SLR, DSLR? And my response was, you can't. It's not true. Certain kinds of shots, it will make no difference if you're using a DSLR or an iPhone. This is the exact image that would not be basically any better at all taken with a DSLR. Okay, but there are pictures like this, for example, that could be a lot better taken with a DSLR, and also an image like this definitely, or this scenario. I wouldn't take this picture maybe. But anyway, okay, so let's have a look. So look, this is a great shot. Everybody looks at this will go, wow. Okay, questions why? Why is this a great shot? What makes it a great shot? So there's a bunch of different things. We've got a symmetrical pattern over here. We've also got a very dynamic shape, just like having that shape mamish right in the middle of your image. You've got this strong texture, all this texture around here, with that makes it very dynamic, with strong contrast between the shadows and the highlights. Okay, there's the contrast is not only strong, but there's no gradations. It's very much from complete highlight to complete shadow in a second, which creates again another heavy tension. You've got this area of white that shows them out. It means that the difference between them and the background is ultimate. If this here was over, it was this kind of thing over here, it would reduce the energy by a tremendous amount. I would think that you've done quite a lot to this in post. Look at your stats there. That's an iPhone for you. Crazy. Anyway, so the actual image, this diagonal line adds a huge amount of energy to the picture. Remember we just mentioned before about diagonal lines, when you have vertical and horizontal lines, what diagonal lines do. You also have this gradation of adding the warmth, the dynamic like warm color over here. So all in all of these aspects come together and give you like a bang image that should for sure go on your website. Just make sure it's bigger than this. Right now it's not acceptable size to go on your website, but it should be on your website. It's a great shot. Okay, so this we can see here. Look at the biggest difference between this shot and this shot is that here your subject's gone like bang out of the background, and over here that does not happen at all. This could be, we could Photoshop this to make a big difference. Also, the easiest way to make the difference, which I think would anyway make all the difference, would be if you came down lower, and the sun, as you come down lower, the horizon comes down, and get this horizon to somewhere around here. Yeah, this area here, and then I think that she would definitely pop out a huge amount more. I think that would make all the difference. But again, technically it's very difficult for me to give any kudos to the actual technical aspect of the picture, because the phone just does everything. So we're just solely talking about composition and sensitivities to tensions and directions and energies, which you definitely have for sure. Okay, he needs to be erased. That's 100%. Okay, I think maybe that was the picture you're talking about. If he was erased, this is a great shot. This is a great shot. I think that you don't need so much of the shells. I think I would go maybe third. Maybe a little bit less here. Because you've got this heavy, this is very heavy, so you don't want to leave too much of that, because it will take away from the actual subject. I mean, you can't even see, but I would probably go with a crop like that. I would definitely get rid of this guy over here. 1 second, maybe we can do this very quickly. Hello, mate. There you go. Goodbye. That's in Picasso. Anyway, now I can look at the picture. I should also get rid of that little thing as well. 1 second. Just because it's so easy. Bye-bye. Okay, that's a great shot. I love that picture. I love that. It's very Beatlesque. Okay, but graphically it's beautiful with these 3 lines, 3 different textures, the 3 different colors, and then the 4 girls. It's geometrically very sound. It's really, you're going to learn about the rule of thirds in the next class, but rule of thirds, tastic. There you go. Look at that. Beautiful. Excellent. Textbook. I hope you got the original shot though. I hope you got the original shot. Okay. Okay. Not such a cool, I mean, it's fun. She needs to be far from the background, okay, like we saw with the other picture. Get her away from the background, okay. I definitely like the colours contrasted with these colours, okay. And now this is with your camera, okay, so she should be far from the background. There's a lot to learn. You should be zoomed in all the way, you should be at the widest aperture, but you need to keep her like popping out from the background. That's the problem. That's what happens when you're not using the widest aperture and doing all these different things, is that you end up with the subject not popping out from the background. So the subject is kind of lost because this is a very heavy texture. Okay, it's a cute picture. I would crop in a little bit closer probably. something like that. Okay, and now this one we can take into Lightroom. It's very flat. The actual picture is beautiful. It's very soft. I love the contrast between the heavy rustic bricks and then this very delicate, dainty little girl here. It's very kind of, it makes her all that softer. But we're going to take this one into Lightroom. Okay, how big is this? Okay, it's not so big, but let's take this into Lightroom. The key to Lightroom is going to be really adding a lot of energy to the image, you're going to see, we're going to soften the girl and brighten her, and we're going to intensify but darken the rest of the image. The key to Lightroom, I don't know if you're into Lightroom yet, it's in, I think, the 3rd class or something, or the 2nd class. So the way that we do Lightroom, and it's working so far excellently, is there's the actual Lightroom workshop, but each as you know, you've been watching the tutorials, I give a one image at the end of each critique in Lightroom, and just go with it. I don't know if you're going to understand now. I'm going to speak kind of quickish because I'm assuming that you don't understand. The understanding will come when you do the actual workshop. Okay, but right now, just go with it. Okay, I'll explain as much as I can. So I need to brighten her. Yeah, first things first. You don't need to be particularly accurate with this program, which is one of the great things about it. I'm going to put up the highlights to dry. I want to just add more oomph to it, but I don't want to put the clarity up. There we go. Let's just have a look. That's just slight. Okay, now what I want to do is I'm going to use my radial filter. Put this over here. Now the radial filter gives me an effect. Where if I put it now, you're like, what are you doing? Diamond, stop it, you're destroying my art. Okay, 1 second, and then we go ching. Okay. I think I'm going to do that. I'm into that, and I think I'm even going to do it again, but without the exposure. Just a drop down with the exposure. There we go. Now I'm going to go back to our original handiwork on our little girl, H. I want to brighten her. I also want the contrast up, so and now I want to drop the clarity down, but still with a high contrast, if that makes sense. So I want her to kind of glow. And now I think to finish it off, I'm going to just do a regular vignette, just to take it a little bit more away from the... I thought it was going to be better than that, to be honest. I really did. Let's just get rid of this. I think it's too dark. Let's just see if we can take away. It shouldn't be so dark around here. So we made 2 filters here. So let's just make it a little less dark. Yeah, I think that makes a difference. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's get rid of that. Let's have a look from there to there. Yeah, it's still not, I thought it was going to be more powerful than that. But, you know what, I might add a little bit. One more thing. Let's just try, let's make a new one. Let's do, 1 second. Let's do a big burst of light from over here. Don't know. Don't think I've done this before in a black and white picture. 1 second. No, it doesn't really make sense with this wall over here. Delete. You know, let me try something else quickly. 1 second while we're here. Might as well go for gold. No, let me try a whole different thing. Let me bang the clarity out here to give her some edge that way. Now, if we open up these blacks, the blacks always does that. We need to open up the shadows. That, I think, actually did the trick. Let's have a look. Let's get rid of that. that, I think, really did the trick, yeah. Yeah. I think that made all the difference. So instead of making her soft, we made her even harder. But then what we've basically done is we've completely drawn attention to our subject by, number one, drawing attention to our subject, sharpening her, adding contrast, etc. And number two, by taking away taking away energies from the background. So we've drawn attention to our subject by, number one, emphasizing our subject, and number two, de-emphasizing the background. Okay, excellent. For the first class, this is going to be amazing. Bezrat Hashem, really, really looking forward to seeing what you do for us. Okay, wishing you all the best.